A lot of these units have quite an interesting history. The km here refers to kilometers, and the kilo part of that is Greek for 1,000. 1,000. So therefore, a kilometer means 1,000 meters. The C in centimeters, you may recognize the word cent from 100 cents and a dollar. So a cent means 1/100th. So this is a 1/100th. So you can see that a kilometer is 1,000 meters, but a centimeter means a hundredth of a meter. So centi gets smaller and kilo gets bigger by 1,000 and gets smaller by 100. You can see here that mm means millimeters, and milli means 1,000th. So it gets smaller 1,000 times. So a millimeter is a meter divided by 1,000. And therefore you can say that 1 centimetre is equal to 10 millimetres because of the difference of 1 0 here. The whole metric system, which this is all based on, was introduced into France in 1799, I think, by Napoleon, and that's one of the great things that he did for the world of science. He spread this metric system around, and it just makes things much easier to divide and multiply by 10. And this word ton has an interesting meaning as well. In the US, it's spelt T-O-N, and that's actually a different measurement. So 1 ton in the US is equal to 2,000 pounds. LB, again, has got an interesting sort of history. I'll get into that in a moment. But 2,000 pounds is 1 ton in the US, and this is imperial measurement. And this is actually a different ton, spelt T-O-N-N-E, which is equal to 1,000 kilograms. So there is a big difference between these two. The LB, that actually comes from the Latin for pound, or from scales, Libra, and people who have the star sign of Libra may know that your star sign symbol is that of scales, and that was used to find the measurement of pounds, and hence you get the LB here. So Libra meaning pounds, and in fact that's where the symbol pound come from. It's an L with a line through it. So in British English, you've got the pound, and the old Italian currency, which was lira, which is close to that, just without the B in it, lira, used this symbol for their currency. So that's a little bit of interesting history there. With the same that you've got in kilometers to meters, you've got kilograms to grams, and that means, again, 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. And the milli here, again, you've got 1,000 milliliters in 1 litre. 1 litre, though, is defined. This is something we've got to be aware of. 1 litre is 1,000 milliliters, and we can say that this is the one I tend to remember, actually, that 1 centimetre cubed, which you can imagine is just a tiny little cube there, that is equal to 1 milliliter. So therefore you need 1,000 of these to make, for 1,000 of these, and 1,000 of these would be 1 litre. So 1,000 centimetres cubed would be 1 litre. So let's have a look at the first worked example here. Just when would you use these units? So if you're trying to measure large distances between two cities, you're going to use kilometres. That's the best unit to use. If you used centimetres, it would be far too big of a number, so we're going to use kilometres here. The length of a matchbox, if you can hold it in your hand, then it's going to be either millimetres or it can be centimetres. The mass of a person. If you measured yourself in grams, then that would be a massive number, so we're not going to use grams, we'll use kilograms. But the mass of a letter, that's much smaller, and we would use grams here. The mass of a lorry, again, you would use kilograms, But sometimes, if your measurement's over 1,000 kilograms, then you would use tons instead. Now, the interesting word here, volume, there are two different words to use. There's volume and capacity, and they have very slightly different meanings. A volume, you could say the volume of medicine in a spoon. That's okay. But if you were to refer to just the spoon without any medicine in it, you'd say that the spoon has a capacity of, let's say, 10 milliliters. Either way, this is you'd say the spoon has 10 milliliters of capacity, but when you refer to the volume of medicine, you'd refer to that as centimeters cubed or millimeters cubed. So yeah, it's got a very subtly different meaning here. A volume is a tangible thing, whereas a capacity is how capable a space is of holding a volume. So generally, this would be an empty thing, and you'd refer to an empty cavity or empty vessel having a capacity to hold something. And this would have the capacity to hold the volume, and the volume is what you're putting into it. So here, the volume of the water would be in, let's say, meters cubed, but you'd say that the swimming pool has a capacity in liters. So yeah, a very subtly different thing there. In the second example, it says here, how many millimeters are there in 3.72 meters? So what I'd picture here is you've got 3.72 meters, and therefore that's going to be 3.72 meters. And each one of these meters, 1 meter, is equal to 1,000 millimeters. So therefore you've got 3,000 millimeters here, and you've got another 720 here. So that would be 3,720 millimeters. And you could have just multiplied that by 1,000 to get this value. How many centimeters are in 4.23 meters? Well, how do you go from meters to centimeters? The C means you multiply it by 100. So then this would be 423 centimeters. How many meters are there in 102.5 kilometers? Would you have more or fewer meters than kilometers? You'd have more meters. How many more? This amount, which is 1,000. So you'd have to multiply this by 1,000 to get the number of meters. So if we multiplied that by 1,000, the decimal point would jump. I'll just write one. That's what it is in kilometers. The decimal point jumps 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So then we would fill up our spaces with zeros, 1 here and 1 here, and the decimal point's there now. So our decimal point's no longer there, and this is now 102,500 meters. And finally then, how many kilograms are there in 4.32 tons? Would it be more kilograms or fewer kilograms? And here, when you're looking at the number of tons, you'd have more kilograms. How many more is 1,000? So you multiply this by 1,000 and you get 4,320 kilograms. Okay, in the last example here, this is just a straightforward number line. It's asking for what that point is there. So if you're going from 12 to 13, then this whole jump is 1. So each one of these is a tenth of 1, or 1 decimal point. So you're jumping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. Therefore, that would be 12.6. Straightforward, that one. Here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So each one's going to be 0.2. So it's 0.2, 4, 6, and 8. This would be 11.8. Here, if the jump goes from 6 to 8, the whole jump is 2. and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of those is going to be 2/5, which is the same as 0.4. So it's 6.4 and 6.8. An interesting little brain teaser for the end here is, which is heavier, a kilogram of iron or a kilogram of feathers? So I'll leave that for you to think about. Have a go at the exercises.